Hey everyone, I'm Kalila Reynolds and welcome to another edition of Taking Stock Live. We're bringing you all the latest business news. Ooh, okay. So I need to kind of mute my TV right here. All right. Give me a second. So we have technical issues on the very first show. Wow. All right. Coming. Oh, and that's how it is when you run a live show. This hasn't happened before. I don't know why we ended up with that feedback. Oh, and that's how it is when you run here we are. Okay, ready. Okay, that was strange. We do this show every single week, and I've never had that issue. And all of a sudden, because I have a big international guest, now we suddenly have this feedback issue. So I hope it's not a problem throughout the show. But of course, we have a great show lined up for you. I'm Kalila Reynolds. If you haven't liked the video just yet, despite that issue we just had, go ahead and like the video, hit that subscribe button. And when the show is over, head on over to the website, KalilaReynolds.com/newsletter to get the newsletter straight to your inbox twice a week. Like I said, we have a very exciting show coming up for you. I see you guys jazzed in the comments. I'm eager to get to those comments. Let me know in the live chat right now where you are joining us from tonight, which part of the country, which part of the world. I love our international viewers, especially tonight, because it is a very, very special guest that we have coming on. Some of you are familiar with him already, but let me not get any further into that. Here's a look at what's coming up on tonight's show, followed by what's hot in business. Now, come on, say it with me. Let's get this money.
Are you interested in investing in U.S. markets? Well, it's been a tough year up north, with the S&P 500 closing at a new 2022 low last month. Plus, there have been threats of a recession, constant interest rate hikes, and an oil price war. But find out why now could be the best time and how you can get started. Investor, entrepreneur, and host of Stock Up with Larry Jones will join us. And the analysts weigh in on the latest market developments. Paramount Trading's results are out. How did they do? And China is set to release its third quarter GDP data, reflecting its slowest annual growth in nearly 50 years. But first, here's What's Hot, brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart. Proven Group is expanding its regional presence with a location in the Bahamas. CEO of Proven Management, Chris Williams, said the expansion is part of plans to build up the banking and wealth side of the group's business. Speaking at the company's recent AGM, Williams said the international banking space in the Bahamas is very strong and the country's economy is rebounding well. Earlier this year, Proven finalized its acquisition of Fidelity Bank Limited in the Cayman Islands, rebranding it to Proven Bank. Regional distribution company A.S. Bryden is offering employees an opportunity to purchase shares in the company. According to a company notice, the shares are also available to eligible investors in Jamaica. Some 1.2 million shares are on offer at a price of $4.37 US or 30 TT dollars 59 cents a share. Of that number, 430,000 shares are reserved for eligible employees and the remainder available for eligible investors. NCB Capital Markets is the lead broker of the offer. The offer opened on October 3 and is scheduled to close on October 31. Jamaican company Separate recently acquired a 60% stake in the company. The Caribbean is set to benefit from a €100 million grant from the European Union and the International Monetary Fund's Poverty Reduction and Growth Trust. The funds will allow the IMF to make an estimated €630 million worth of zero-interest loans for PRGT-eligible countries facing balance of payment difficulties. The IMF said that the war in Eastern Europe has made many African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries more vulnerable as they are still struggling with the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Messaging app Telegram was fined $5 million on Monday for failing to comply with German law. A German court said that Telegram hasn't established a lawful way for reporting illegal content or named an entity in Germany to receive official communication, which are both required under German laws. German federal police warned earlier this year that the app is becoming a medium for radicalization to target politicians, scientists, and doctors for their role in tackling the coronavirus pandemic. What's Hot was brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart. This segment of Taking Stock is brought to you by Bulwark Insurance Agency, insurance made easy.
So welcome back. We sorted out the issue. It was my fault. So apparently I had YouTube open in a separate tab. So I was wondering why am I getting this delay and this feedback? But yeah, we fixed that. So it goes in a live show. You roll with the punches, you sort it out, and you get right back on track. That's how it is. Let me shout out the people in the comments right now. I see a lot of you are on. So who is here? Who's with us tonight? Big ups to Kingston in the house. That's Michael Leon Fraser. First comment of the evening. We have Conrad as well. Conrad says, from St. Anne, it's money time. Adrian Legister joining us from Westmoreland. Westmoreland in the house, ready to get this money. David Gray says St. James in the building. We got Cheesy Gully Side from Mobay, who says, big up your host, Mr. Larry Jones. Kish, as usual, checking in from London. Debbie Cool says, tonight it's going to be interesting. Like and share, everyone. Absolutely. So we have a lot to talk about. Moses Brown says, let's get this money. I think that means that TT probably means he's in Trinidad and Tobago. David is in Jamaica, who says he loves the show. Arizona here and waiting. Hi, Antoinette. And we have a lot of people tuning in as usual. Dual Link says, stock up with Larry. Yes, indeed, Larry is our guest this evening. But just to give you some context, it's not been a good year for U.S. markets. It's not been a good year pretty much anywhere, but U.S. markets in particular. Last month, the S&P 500 closed at a new 2022 low. The Dow hasn't been doing so well either. Neither has the NASDAQ. Worse crypto. And there have been threats of a recession. There have been constant hikes in interest rates. There's also an oil price war between OPEC and the U.S., among a whole bunch of things going on. So joining me to discuss all that's happening in the United States and more, and why or how you might be able to start investing in those markets, and should you, we have investor, entrepreneur, and host of Stock Up with Larry Jones. Larry Jones. Hi, Larry.
Hey, what's up, good people? How you doing?
It's so great to have you on and to see you. I met Larry. I met you at FinCon last month. I kind of stalked you after you finished your presentation.
It's all good.
Like, I need to get this guy. I need to get this guy on my show. He's talking some really good things that I think my viewers need to hear. And I've since subscribed to your YouTube channel, Stock Up with Larry Jones. I love your channel, Larry. I love how relatable it is, and I love how easy to understand it is. And those two things are key for me here on my program, Taking Stock, because a lot of people get turned off by business news and the stock market because they feel like, oh, I just don't understand it. It's too complicated for me.
You know that's by design, right?
Yeah, tell me a little bit about you and your journey.
My journey is unlike anyone else's that I know. I didn't go to the best schools. I didn't have the pedigrees and all of that. I went to a school on the west side of Chicago. I had to retake math in high school, but one of the things that I know I could do, and that is count. I could count my money. And so I got into the stock market in 92, back when you had to pay $100 for somebody, for a broker to buy a stock, and then another 100 for them to sell the stock, and lost everything. And, just like a lot of people thought it was a scam, and got back in, years later, and then really got back in heavier in 2007, just before 2008 happened. But I learned a lot of lessons in 2008 and began to make a lot of money during the recession of 2007 through 2009. And so here we are, so my YouTube, explosion started there again during COVID, when my wife and myself both lost our jobs. So I took our $1,200 stimulus checks, our $2,400, and we turned that into $53,000. Then I doubled that, then we doubled that, and we just kept with all of these hot plays during 2022 and 2021. And so here we are today.
Wow, that is really interesting indeed. I have some similarities with your story. I always tell people I didn't study economics, I didn't do any business courses, nothing like that. And I kind of started this show and delivering this content because I wanted to ask questions for me. I wanted somebody to educate me. So this gave me the opportunity to have people on who are experts in the field and give me some answers in simple terms. And like you, I know how to count my money.
That's it. That's it.
That's all you need to know.
You just know how to count your money. Just know that you want to buy a piece of a company and you want to give that CEO $1, and you want that CEO to give you $1.25 back. You want him to give you $1.50, $2, $3 back. And that is the basis of investing, not trading, but investing in the stock market. I do a little of both. I do mostly investing. I do some swing trades and I do some day trades.
All right. So obviously we're looking at international markets and everything is a chain reaction. US stocks have been plummeting from the start of 2022, even before that, actually, since COVID. But last month, for example, S&P 500 closed at a new 2022 low. So I want to hear your perspective on this. I just love listening to you talk on your channel, and now I get to share you with my audience. So tell me what's going on in the US and why, and should people be fearful?
Actually, people should be excited. Actually, I believe that people should be excited. And I love talking to your audience. I was telling your producer, I got to get out there to Jamaica and just kick it with my people. So maybe we'll just sit that up. But I think it's a golden opportunity. If you look at the history of the stock market, if you look at the history of points of entry, right? So on my show, we break it down. My theory is break it down, talk to me like I'm 3, right? So the girls used to play double dutch, right? And I used to watch the girls playing double dutch. You know how y'all used to do it. And you ladies, y'all would be trying to time to get in, right? And I used to just watch that and think that's brilliant. Actually, investing is a lot like that. But you guys would calculate when it was a good time to get into the market. We do the same thing here at Stock Up. If there's a saying, when in doubt, zoom out. If you zoom out over the last 5 to 6 major events, being a recession, a crash, COVID, you will clearly see that those times were the best times to enter in the stock market. And I always say this. Talk about a track record. 1792, when the New York Stock Exchange was established, 100% of the times it has recovered. 100% of the times. And so I would tell you, I don't know about you, but if I'm going to bet on anything, I'm going to bet on something with a track record like that. So I think that the further it comes down, just like a stock, an equity, or a crypto, the lower you buy something, the less risk you have. So the S&P 500 has been tanking. Let's see if I can pull up a chart here. There we go. I'm going to do this if you don't mind. So the S&P 500 year to date has just been a steady decline, right? But if you look at let's go out 5 years, right? So clearly you could see that this is COVID. Now, anybody could see that during COVID, it was my birthday, March 20th to March 16th. Anybody that could see that this was the best time to buy, not this, right? And so for the people, remember, our former president was still president here, okay? Remember, all right? And so we had what we saw at that time, that was a bull run. But if you would have even just held on from the beginning of this bull run through the COVID, and then you would be in profit back again. As a matter of fact, I just spoke in Mexico, and I showed every single time when a recession or a correction or something like that happened, generally 1 year later, after it bottoms out, you're over 50% in profit.
Over 50%.
In
so
profit.
I can understand why you would be excited now.
Yes. And so what I've been telling people is now is the time, even if you know nothing about the stock market, to simply be cashing up and studying the stock market. And I would say for anybody that's a first-time investor, just start investing in ticker symbol VTI, which is the overall stock market. 99% of all of the brainiacs out there cannot beat the overall stock market over a 10 to 20 year period. You just can't beat it. So it's the overall stock market, right? And so when you do that, it doesn't matter if you have, in a separate account, you have Tesla, Google, Amazon, just buying the overall stock market, QQQ or VTI or VOO, those type of baskets of stocks, right? Those perform well. You cannot show me a 10-year period where you're not making money. You can't. You cannot show me a 7-year period where you're not making money. And so even if you don't understand the stock market, for an investment, you can start what we call DCA, dollar cost averaging, meaning whenever you get paid, whether it's weekly, bi-monthly, or monthly, every time you get paid, not your bill money, not money you're going to need, but just take a little money and start investing into an ETF like VTI or VOO, or QQQ.
Okay, so let me throw this in there though, because
Yes.
when you have a recession coming, or all this talk about a looming recession, and like I mentioned,
Right.
the fear that comes with that, a lot of people may think, well, now is a time that I need to be liquid just in case I lose my job, just in
Yes.
case I need that cash flow coming in. Now
Yes.
is not a time that I can afford to be investing in the stock market. Now is a time that I need to have a lot of cash on hand. What do you say to
Not
that?
so. Okay, here's a couple of things. Number one, the stock market always bottoms out before the recession does, right? And so what normally happens is this is the stock market, and this is the stock market, and this is the recession. The stock market bottoms out and is going up, and the recession hasn't even bottomed out yet. And then the recession starts bottoming out. So guess what happens? Now people have missed the bottom and they're chasing the next bull run. And that is that's FOMO, right? FOMO, fear of missing out. And when you're buying stocks or crypto because you have FOMO, you're not buying them with a clear head. You're chasing a bull, which is difficult to do. And so now I will tell you that I do believe the worst of the recession, we're already in a recession. I believe the worst of the recession will be in 2023. And right now, I believe it'll be in the first half, So that's when it will go down even more. So You can be cash. I'm mostly cash. I'm probably 78 to 80% cash right now.
Really?
Yes. And I've been saying that for 6 months. I'm about 78% cash because last year in the third quarter around November, I start saying we're heading to a bear market and then eventually a recession. So that's what I was telling my audience back last year, 2021, around November-ish. So I started cashing out a lot of things that I was extremely green in. Of course, now, not my long-term dollar cost average stock, but I was doing a lot of swing trading and I had a lot of profit. So I locked in my wins and now I'm cash ready.
All right. So smart strategy. Do you
Yes.
do any real estate investing as well, Larry?
You know, I get asked that a lot. And the truth is no, not at this time. And I will be in 2024. I am going to be purchasing a lot of real estate in 2024. I've been blessed that my dad has left me and my 6 brothers and 2 sisters, small
Wow,
family.
big family.
Yeah. He has left us a lot of real estate, and he has a portfolio. Some of the real estate he bought in the 70s for $17,000 that's now worth $300,000. But the truth be told, I renounced my portion of it and put it back into the family trust to be dispersed amongst my siblings. I sound like the king from Zamunda.
I
I
was just
renounce my
thinking
throne.
that. I was just thinking it.
I
Prince
renounce
Hakeem,
my throne.
I renounce my throne. I'm no longer the Prince of Zamunda.
Of Zamunda.
Yes.
I love that
Yes.
movie.
But why 2024 specifically? That's a very specific target date to get
It
started
is.
in real estate.
It is. And here's why. The best time to buy real estate after the crash of 2008 was 2010. That's why. It's generally real estate actually is cheap at the end. It's the cheapest at the end of a recession because of interest rate hikes, right? And people are just losing. And it's just like the stock market. It's a lagging indicator in some instances. I believe it will be a lagging indicator here. Job loss and real estate are the only 2 things that's holding out for the hard recession.
Interesting. So you believe that right now, 2022 is, housing prices are extremely high. That's not just a belief, that's fact.
No,
And so
that's fact.
2 years from now will be the
Yeah.
time to get into real estate. You hear that, guys?
Yeah.
Take notes.
Let
I
me
gotta ask
ask
you
you
about
this.
everything.
Let me ask you this. The average person, I want to see what these comments are. Would you pay what your house is worth right now? Would you pay that price? What my house is worth right now, I wouldn't pay it. It's just ridiculous. I wouldn't pay this much for my house. What I could sell my house for right now is just still, even though the market's cooled off, is insane.
And the same thing is happening here in Jamaica. The housing prices. I thought housing prices were going to go down in COVID, and it did not. As you
Nope.
know, they
Nope.
just went up and
They
they've
just
kept
kept going.
climbing.
Well,
So
guess what? When you are at home, right? What did everybody do? They fixed up their houses. They made their houses worth more. And then
true.
the government printed what, 3 trillion extra dollars and gave it to you. And now your house is your job. And so everybody started fixing their houses up. Supply chain, right? So now your house is worth more. Then the builders underbuilt and they couldn't build during COVID. So guess what? Demand got even higher. Inflation, the prices of homes got even higher. It was a perfect storm.
That's a great point. I never thought about it like that, but you're absolutely right. Everybody's fixing up their houses because
Yep.
we're working from home so much more. So let me ask you this: cryptocurrency. Since I have
Yes.
you on, I gotta ask you about everything. So
Yeah.
cryptocurrency, we've seen what has happened in the past 2 years, the past year specifically. Bitcoin, Ethereum prices plummeting from where they were last year.
Oh my goodness.
What are your thoughts on investing in crypto at this time? Is it similar to the opportunity that you see in stocks because they've tanked?
Absolutely. I will tell you that the younger you are, I would say the more aggressive you can be with Bitcoin. The older you are, I would say limit your risk, okay? Because it's still new, it's still risky, right? So here's what I truly believe about all cryptocurrency. I believe that they will regulate it. They are actually, that's one of the things that Republicans and Democrats, there are Republican and Democrat senators fighting for crypto as we speak, right? When Janet Yellen, who is part of the Fed, for those of you across the country, when she keeps mentioning regulating stable coin. Just remember this: when stable coin gets regulated, so stable coin is pegged dollar for dollar, right? When it gets regulated, institutional money will start to buy crypto. And when institutions, big institutions, start piling into crypto, crypto will be on the biggest bull run in all of crypto bull runs. Now,
Institutions are already starting to buy crypto,
I
Larry.
know, but most can't. They're starting to, and banks are starting to, but most can't. You know why? Because of regulation. They can't buy it because of regulation. So you heard of BlackRock, right? 10 trillion in assets that they manage, right? So the wealthiest hedge fund on the planet, they did a deal with BlackRock, did a deal with Coinbase, and they're trying to set it up so that institutions can buy crypto in bigger amounts. And when that happens, it's to the moon. So what should you be doing now? This is a period of gathering, accumulation. We're in the accumulation stage of crypto right now. So what I'm doing is I'm accumulating what's called layer ones: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, ADA. And I know everybody's like, either ADA or Ethereum. I'm doing them both, ADA and Ethereum. Matic, which is Polygon. Those are my top 5 that I am literally dollar cost averaging in every day. I buy crypto 8 days a week, like the old song used to say. And so I just buy, even if you got, $5 a day, or you can do it weekly. But I'm just accumulating right now because we were buying Bitcoin at 45, 55, 65. Now it's 18 and nobody wants to touch it. That makes no sense. We're supposed to be thinking the polar opposite. The lower it gets, then we should be buying fear and selling greed.
Right. Be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful.
Yep.
Traditional advice. So I have a couple of questions from the audience. The first one,
Sure.
the first one is a personal question. It comes from not this one. From New Life. He says, Larry J, where is Josh?
My man Josh, I was trying to text him that I'm on. I was trying to text him that I was on your show. Josh does not live with me, good people. Josh is in his house in the next town over. We helped to, we got Josh up and got him launched. He is doing well. Josh is a great technical trader. He and I, excuse me, I'm looking down. I'm actually sending Josh this link as we talk now. Maybe he can chime in. And there we go. I just sent it to him, so he'll see it. Josh is a great technical analyst. As a matter of fact, in 2008, I had some doings with him getting actually, I got him into the market, and I encouraged him to get into the market, should I say. Now, he was already looking to get into the market, and I just called him and said, hey, man, you need to get into the stock market. Came to the house. I went more to the fundamental side. Josh went to the technical side. So,
So great mix.
Yeah, great mix.
Yeah. Next question comes from Nanosense. Why is that your name? It says, Larry Jones, what's your thought on the marijuana sector?
Puff and pass. What else? No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I had to, I like to have a little fun.
Walk right into that one.
Um, you know, I think that the marijuana is going to be like gambling stock, just like gaming stock. You just have to look at the laws, right? Those are, they're called sin stock, just like they have a sin tax. And I think that marijuana companies, there are some that's going to make money, but those are tied to the laws, just like gambling stock, state by state. And it's not a federal law. Now, if it goes federal, it's going to explode. All of the marijuana stock is going to explode if it goes federal. And the same thing with gambling stock. If they say, hey, gambling is legal across the country, boom, you're going to you're going to 3x your money, like literally overnight. But they're doing these things state by state. So that's what I think about marijuana stock.
Next question comes from Dwayne, who says he wants me to ask you about tech stocks.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on the tech sector right now? Any specific things that you're looking at in that industry?
Well, tech is tanking. I just tell you, in a bear market, tech really, when the dollar goes up, so the dollar is going up, right? And when the dollar goes up lately, if you look at all of the markets, tech has been tanking the most. Higher interest rates just wreak havoc on tech because tech was overpriced, to be honest. Like Tesla, to me, is not a car company. It's a tech company, and it is tied to tech, right? It's tied to tech. And so you have a lot of companies that are actually tech companies, like Google. Amazon is tied to tech. Apple, and I'm heavy in those. I'm very bullish on Google and Apple. And Apple, to me, is the only thing that's been propping up the stock market, though it's been cooling off now. It's been propping up the stock market. But I would tell you that during the worst of the recession, that's when I'm going to start loading up on tech. So that's what I think about tech.
Because you can get the best value.
You got it. Now, there's a lot of emerging technology companies, right? More EVs and charging stations, so that whenever tech takes a tank, then the charging stations take a tank too. And so I see a lot of gems that are just going to be beat down, that I'm just kind of keeping my eye on, that I'm going to be loading up when they announce that we're in a recession.
So going to take a couple more questions before we wrap the segment, Larry. This one comes from Ravas. He says, do you think it's going to be a good Q4 for tech companies?
I don't know for tech in particular. I've been saying on my channel all this year that we could have a good fourth quarter leading into the Christmas rally. As a matter of fact, for my followers, I've been saying literally the second week in October. I've been saying that for 6 months. Now, that was solely based on when I think inflation would have peaked out. So the data that we get on the consumer price index, the CPI, right? So for those of you that don't know, it sounds big, but all it is a measuring stick that measures inflation, right? Consumer price index. So when the CPI goes up, what was the question again? I got so deep. Go back to the question. I want to specifically answer the question.
Yeah, so they were asking about Q4, if you think it's going to be a good Q4
tech.
for tech.
Yeah, I believe the overall market will be green. I believe that tech will do better. I believe that tech will be higher than it is now. Now, there's a big but. I always say there's always a big but in the room, and it ain't just mine. So anything could happen that will totally take us off of that trajectory, right? Putin could ramp up the geopolitical situation with the war. Then all bets are off, right? the Fed could lose his mind and say for the next 2 months, we're going up 100 basis points or a full point for the next 2 months, then all bets are off. Then that's just going to tank the market. That's going to send us into an early hard recession, right? But if things stay the way they are now, where the earnings are doing better than expected, then we could have a Christmas rally. And if the CPI even shows a sign of cooling off next month, which is, so the FOMC meeting is November 1st and 2nd. That's when the Fed discuss the interest rates, right? If he says that he sees data that inflation is cooling off, then I believe we'll have a good fourth quarter, and I believe that tech will partake of that. But if you're in the tech, you should be investing long-term right now, because I believe from now to the next 9 months, you'll be getting all of tech on a discount.
Last question comes from Levar, who wants to know, what are your thoughts on the Russia-Ukraine war and how it's affecting the price of oil and food?
Well, as we could see, the price of oil and food is ridiculously high. We cannot go into a bull run with high food and oil. It's just impossible. Not in crypto nor stocks. It just does not, it will not happen. So if Putin, again, if he's attacking the capital of Ukraine, Kyiv, and if he really ramps things up, oil prices are going to go through the roof, and so will food prices. Now, your oil stock will be profitable also, but you're going to be paying more at the pump. So that's what I got to say about that.
All right. Well, viewers, you can find Larry. Well, you tell them where they can find you.
On YouTube, Stock Up with Larry Jones. That's Stock Up with Larry Jones. I don't know if you'll provide a link, but you guys can follow me over there. I pretty much post a video almost every single day.
Yeah, even when you were on vacation.
Even on vacation.
Saw you there by the pool, holding up your phone and still making videos.
What's a vacation? I don't even know what a vacation is.
I don't know if you're married, but if you are, does your wife get mad at you for doing that?
Yes, but you know what? I made a deal with her. I says I'm only going to the first out of all of the travel that I've done this year, which has been a lot. We went to Maui, and I said I'm only going to make 3 videos. I took the phone, shot the video while she was laying on the beach, and came down. So it was just like an hour. Right. And so we were good with that. Okay.
Yeah. Because my husband gets annoyed with me sometimes. I'm not sure if he's watching tonight, but sometimes we're out and he's like, working again. Why are you always working?
Yeah.
But well, you know, that's the nature of the game.
You feel dedicated to the family. I call you guys the family. You feel dedicated and you just want to give them information. I, in my heart of hearts, I just want everybody to win. If we don't get this money, the 5% that controls about over 60% of all of the country's wealth here in the States will continue to have it. And all we got to do is go get it. But when I do get information, I like to disperse it because I want everybody at the table to eat.
Exactly. I'm the same, because the thing is, I will say I'm taking a vacation and then some big news drops and I have to come back and share it because I know people are going to be coming to my channel looking for it. So you can't let the people down.
No, you can't.
The biggest IPO in Jamaica dropped when I was due to give birth, and I still did my show.
Wow. I would like to, are there apps that I know that you guys can invest in? Can you guys invest in the American market?
All right. So there's some restrictions. So there are a couple ways that you can do it. One, if you have a US bank account, you can, use that US bank account to open an investment account or use one of the apps, which gives me a perfect, like you set this up so perfectly for me, Larry, because let me use this opportunity to announce my affiliate partnership with Moomoo. I know you're also an affiliate partner with Moomoo.
When did you meet them?
What's that?
When did you meet Moomoo?
I met them at FinCon.
Come on. Talk about it.
You think FinCon was a vacation? I was there networking. I
Well,
met you, I met Mumu, and I have a couple others.
welcome aboard because I brought Mumu to the conference.
Yes, I hear you. Oh, yes, they sponsored your talk.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so
I asked them to be there at the conference, period. So like, you guys need to come to the conference, blah, blah, blah. Here's where you meet the people that will represent your brand. So go ahead and talk about Mumu. I want to hear you do it.
right. All right. So Mumu is an app that you can use to invest in US markets. If you live in Jamaica, but you have a US bank account, which I know some of you do, or if you live in the United States, about 20% of my viewers do live in the United States, and you
Okay.
have a US bank account, you can use Mumu to invest directly in US markets. It's such a convenient app. They do send you updates daily. You get alerts to your phone as to what is going on in the markets, and you can trade right there on your phone. So it's really handy. My affiliate link is in the description below. It's the first time
Hey,
I get
you
to
know
say
what?
that.
You know what? Let me, can I handle this for you?
Sure.
Listen, good people. I call everybody that watch me good people. This is not going to be the first time we do this. Do yourself a favor. Click the link below. Get the free stock that Mumu is going to give you. Make sure you deposit a minimum of $100, right? You're going to get free stock. And she and I are going to partner, and we're going to help you make money with the Mumu app. Do that today. Download it, deposit, and just continue to listen. Even if actually just cash up right now. So deposit the app, just cash up, go to your family members. You can do custodial accounts and get them open up them a Mumu account too. All right. It's very phone friendly. You can trade like I do while you're at a stoplight. Just make sure you pull over like I do sometimes. But it takes all of this confusion out of the way. All right. So do that today.
Thank you so much for that, Larry. How could I forget to mention that you get a free stock when you sign up with Mumu? Yes, free stock when you sign up with Mumu. Use the affiliate link in the description below. Once this live has ended, I'm going to pin it in the comments as well so you can find it more easily. Cheryl wants to know if you have a Canadian account, if you can use Mumu. I believe so. I believe Canada is on the list.
They are working on.
They're working
on Canada. I know you can do it in Australia. Canada, not yet. They believe Q1 of next year. They're working on it, and there are some more big surprises that you'll be able to do through Mumu. But I better not say. But there's going to be some more things that you could trade other than stock in the near future. I'll leave it at that. So you need to download and be ready, good people.
All right. So I just posted the link as well in the live chat. You guys can go ahead and click on that and check it out. If you live in the US, if you have a US bank account, you can use Mumu to trade stocks. Lavar says, Larry, we need you back on this show. Kalila, make it happen. We got to figure it out. Sometime we'll see when Larry is available. But great show. Thank you so much for coming on.
It was my pleasure. It's a pleasure. I consider it an honor and a pleasure whenever I'm before God's people. That's what I call you, from the Most High. And call me anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Larry. And if you have some time, you can stick around for the rest of the show. We'll be talking about some investments in Jamaica as well as in the United States in the rest of the show. So let me.
Can we invest in the Jamaican market?
Yes, you can. You need to have same thing. You need to have a Jamaican investment account, and there are some brokers that will allow you to invest from abroad, that you can open your account remotely. I actually have a broker guide that I can send you. I get this question so often. I actually have a broker guide with a list of all the brokers here in Jamaica. There are 15 of them, and in that guide it tells you which brokers will allow you to open your investment account remotely. So you can do it over the phone, via email. Yeah, so there are a few of them that allow you to do that. Going back to the original question, though, which was how people can invest in U.S. markets. So yes, you have Mumu. And then for those of you who are in Jamaica and you don't have a U.S. bank account, you still have a couple of options. One, there are brokers here in Jamaica as well that facilitate you investing in U.S. markets. Now, the drawback is the fees tend to be higher. but you get exposure to that asset class if it's something that you really want to pursue. So again, if you get the broker guide, it tells you which local brokers here in Jamaica allow you to invest in US markets. And that guide is free when you subscribe to my newsletter at KalilaReynolds.com/newsletter. Larry, I'm just going to send it straight to your email. But if you subscribe to the newsletter, I wouldn't mind that either, right?
All right.
That's basically how you do it. So thank you once again for joining us. Great conversation, great linking up.
Pleasure's mine.
And for our viewers, it is time for our poll question of the evening. What asset classes have you invested the most in? Jamaican stocks, US stocks, crypto, commodities such as gold, oil, and so on, or real estate? And of course, if you have another option, you can also leave a comment as to what you have invested the most in, what asset class you've invested the most in. You can take that poll on our YouTube channel on the community tab or on Twitter. What asset class are you invested the most in? Up next, we've got your market recap, and the analysts are standing by.
This segment of Taking Stock was brought to you by Bulwark Insurance Agency, Insurance Made Easy. Time now for your market recap. The JSE Combined Index lost over 3,000 points, or almost 1% last week. 122 stocks traded across the main and junior markets for the week ending Friday, October 14, 2022. 40 made gains, 74 lost value, and 8 stayed the same. 87 million shares changed hands on the Jamaican dollar market, valued at $455 million. Trans-Jamaican Highway was the week's most traded stock. It took up 13% of market volume, with people buying and selling 12 million shares in the company. The stock opened this week at $1.33. Lumber Depot traded the second highest volume, with people buying and selling 6 million shares in the company. It opened this week at $2.68. And Wigton Wind Farm rounded out last week's most traded, taking up almost 7% of market volume, with 6 million shares trading. The stock's price lost 1 cent to open this week at 52 cents. Now let's see who had the biggest gains for the week. ISP Finance was last week's biggest gainer. The stock was up almost 18% to open the new week at $20. Epley 7.5% preference shares due 2024 was the week's second biggest gainer, up almost 15%. The stock gained 96 cents to open this week at $7.38. And rounding out our biggest gains, First Rock Real Estate Investments USD is up 14% to open Tuesday at 8 cents US. On the losing side now, JMMB 7.25% was last week's biggest loser, down 15% to open the new week at $2.72. MPC Caribbean Clean Energy USD was last week's second biggest loser. The stock was also down 15% to open Tuesday at 85 cents US. And rounding out the biggest losers was Trans-Jamaican Highway 8%. The stock fell almost 13%, closing the week at $2.10. Over on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, the composite index lost 5 points last week. Massey was the most traded stock. It opened this week at $4.46 TT. Prestige Holdings was the market's biggest gainer, up 12% to open this week at $6.70 TT. And on the losing side, First Caribbean International Bank fell 9% to open the week at $5 TT. In the US, the Dow Jones gained almost 1% last week, while the S&P 500 lost nearly 2% and the Nasdaq fell 3%. Over at the pumps, motorists saw another slight increase as gas prices rose by 25 cents a litre and diesel prices went up by $4.50. In foreign exchange, it took an average $153.70 Jamaican to purchase $1 last Friday. That's 45 cents less than a week before. Meanwhile, it took an average $170.82 Jamaican to purchase £1 and $151.56 Jamaican to purchase €1 last Friday. Finally, on the crypto markets, Bitcoin prices rose 1.5% in the past 5 days, after a 4% dip the week before. The cryptocurrency was trading at $19,451 on Monday. Ethereum rose almost 2% in the past 5 days, trading at $1,317 on Monday. This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, is brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart. Disclaimer: this is not intended as financial advice. Please consult a licensed financial advisor before making investment decisions.
Welcome back to Taking Stock. It's time now for the analyst. Before I introduce tonight's analyst panel, let me take a few more comments from the chat. Middlesex says, I want to invest, but I don't know much. Can I get some guidance? Well, you gave me the perfect opportunity to introduce you to my Investing for Beginners masterclass, which you can get at KalilaReynolds.com/masterclass. So check that out. If you don't know zero to very little about investing, you can definitely check out that class online. Adrian says this episode was the bomb. Taking Stock, fire. And Nikki Graham says not able to sign up on Mumu, Jamaica not shown as a region. So yes, that's what I was telling you. If you have a US bank account, then you can use Mumu. Unfortunately, it's not available for Jamaicans right now. But if you do have a US bank account, which some of you do, and some of you live in the US who are watching right now, then it's a great option for you to invest in that market. So let's look at our analyst panel. Let's introduce our analyst panel for the evening. I'm joined now by investment research and sovereign risk analyst at JMMB Group, Leovani Dillon. And we also have founder and CEO of Profit Jumpstarter, Keisha Bailey. Welcome,
Hi.
Leo. Welcome, Keisha.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I saw you guys listening intently to Larry.
Yeah, that was a good segment.
It really was. It really was. So, Leah, you've been tracking Paramount Trading, and interestingly, we've had somebody in the comments every week ask us about Paramount Trading. So, I'm glad that you are looking at their financial performance. Give us the highlights.
Yeah, so Paramount Trading came out with earnings for their Q1, ended August 2022. It was a good number. All right, so I'm going to share my screen so I can go through some of the details of it.
Sure.
All right. All right. So when you look on the revenue side, right, you can see that revenue is up here. So this is the revenue of the company. So you can see significant increase here. So that's about over 68%. And ultimately, when you go down to the bottom line, net profit, that's up big. So it was 18.9 million, and now it's at 83.9, right? So it's a big increase, over 300%. So what you see happening is that the revenue is up, but they're basically contain costs going down the line. So that's admin expense. So even though those are up, they're not as big as revenue, right? So they contain those, and then ultimately that's how you get that brilliant profit number. Now, for perspective, if you look on that Q1, right, that's here. Now, when you look on all the other Q1s going back all the way to Q1 2015 financial year, so this was August 2014, right? You can see that this quarter is way above any other. For again, to put this quarter, strength of this quarter in perspective, if you look on the full year last year for them, the full financial year ended May, right? They did about 175 million. And just in this one quarter, they did over 80 million. So it's a huge number for them, right?
Wow.
Now, yeah, so when you look at the performance of the stock, it's doing very well for the year, up 62% for the year, beating the junior market 20%. And you can see that it's been a consistent winner for 2022. So it's been above the overall market for most of the year. So there's a couple points when it fell below the market, like here and here. But for most of the year, it's been well above the market. Off the highs, because the high was up like 80%, but it's still doing very well. Any way you want to slice it, right? Now, when you zoom out a bit and you look on the performance since PT has been listed, it's been listed for a while now. So it's actually coming to the end of its 10-year tenure on the market. It's done extremely well, moving, under 1 year all the way up here. Now it did very well in these earlier years, and it's well off the highs, right? Well off the highs. Now, when you look on another perspective of the same information, you can see 2015 and 2016 very well, up over 200% in those years. but it's been lagging for some time. So since 2018, basically, it's been down every year. Now this year, of course, it's been doing well, countering some of that losses. So it's doing a lot better now, right? Now, when you look at the activity of the stock in the market, you can see that usually this is not really that active. In 2021, it was fairly active, so you can see it was trading over a little bit over $400,000 a day on average, right? Right now, it's trading somewhere around $160,000, so it's not really active. But so what this gives you is an idea of how liquid this stock is. So if you're an investor, you can get an idea of what does this stock mean for you relative to the size of your portfolio. So clearly, if you have billions of dollars investing, this stock is relatively illiquid for your means. But if you have you're starting out, you have a couple 100,000 or whatever, there's a decent liquidity in the stock for you, right? Now recently, this is today actually, it traded over $4 million. So again, these earnings came out Friday, just Friday gone. In the morning, you saw a little activity in the market. I don't think a lot of market participants actually saw the numbers. I think it was really on Tuesday now today, because of course the market was closed yesterday, public holiday, that a lot of persons really, I think, saw the numbers and actually acted on it. And that's why you're seeing that activity. Because again, if this stock usually trades around $160,000 and you see 4 million units moving in a day, that is significant for this stock, right? So $4 million, sorry, about 2+ million units, but about $4 million moving on the day. And then when you look at it from a valuation wise here, you see trading about 13 times earnings, which is relatively cheap compared to how it usually trades. So it's 20 times over the average over the last 1 year, 3 years, 38 times, but currently it's around 13 times. Part of that is because of the strength of these earnings, and the stock itself hasn't really been. And I mean, recently it's done well, up 60%. But I mean, overall, though, as you can see, if you look on the span of let's over like 5 years or so or more, it's not really done that well. But the earnings are up big time for them recently, so they're really performing here. And then finally, on a PB basis, it's decent. So you can see overall, it was a good number. Well, I couldn't touch on everything here clearly because I wouldn't have the time. Looking at the cash flow statement and the balance sheet, but the summing up here, it's decent. Looking at the cash flow, they do produce good operating cash flow. Looking at the balance sheet, you can see improvements there. Some of the ratios, like the current ratio, fell off a bit, but that's because of how the debt is structured. Like they might need to refinance some debt soon. But overall, though, it looks like a good earnings number, and it's the best, actually the best revenue quarter for them ever. The
Wow.
revenue is actually the best ever. So it's actually, they've done very well, especially coming out of COVID. And there was a period of time that they weren't, well, you can see it on the charts, that they weren't doing so well, both in the stock price and in the performance of the actual company. So it's good to see them recovering here. And there's not really much to pick at in the sense that there's not much to be negative about on these earnings, because it did most of this good performance in a sustainable way, meaning it wasn't like some big one-off gains that unlikely to reoccur. It seems stable, better margins in terms of gross profit margin, operating profit margins. In the
And
near
they're
future,
selling more, huh? Well, but for those who are unfamiliar with Paramount, because it's not one that we talk about frequently, what does Paramount Trading do?
All right, so a big part of their business is really the distribution of chemical products. That's actually the biggest part. They do haulage services, but most of their thing is that they do some manufacturing. So it's really, chemicals distribution, some lubricants. So they do, there's a range of services, but the bulk of their business, if you look on the 5 different segments, major segments for them, the bulk of the money is really coming from distribution of chemicals. So they're really big in that space.
Christopher wants to know what accounts for their great performance.
Yeah, so it seems like a lot of it is organic. So they did pick up some things, some performance from the other income being better. So if you look on the numbers here, you can see that the other income, for example, was 13 million last time. This time it's 29.4 million. A lot of that other income comes from the gains there comes from FX. gains. So it's based on how their balance sheet is structured. So they have a lot of liabilities that might be US dollars, and because the GMD has been strengthening in some periods over the USD, depending on the timing of those cash flows, they can actually realize some gains from that. So that's helped them out. The next thing is that they just contain costs. So if you look again, revenue up 61%, but if you look on the growth in like direct expenses and like admin expenses, and so it's not up as big. So that is the kind of thing that really gets the strength of this performance up for them. So it's really a mix, but it's really a mix, and then you're seeing overall, of course, you're seeing overall recovery and pickup in the economy, and of course, the nature of their business, with all the chemical distribution, so that it really has a broad reach. They would benefit from it in terms of just more business being available to them.
That's awesome. Thanks for bringing our attention to Paramount's performance, Leo. Let's head over to Keisha Bailey. I have a big up for you from the audience, Keisha. It comes from Steve. Steve says, Keisha Bailey, got to big you up for the work you did with our teachers.
Yeah, anytime. Big up yourself, Steve.
Yeah, so that was in the paper and all, how they launched this educational series with the one and only Keisha.
Yeah,
Our
so
Keisha.
teach the teachers how to invest so that the teachers teach the students, the teachers teach their family, and everybody can, jump in, make some money.
Absolutely. I'm actually supposed to be a part of that program as well. So Steve, look out for that announcement coming up. So you are looking this week at China, Keisha, because China is set to release their third quarter GDP data, and growth is expected to rebound from the prior quarter, but it's still on track to post its slowest annual rate of growth in nearly 50 years. What's going on in China?
So we don't talk about China a lot, but it is the second largest country in the world by GDP. And so we have to take a closer attention to what's happening there. Particularly, we spoke a lot about last year with, US-China tensions, and that's still ongoing. So we have to watch China closely, because a lot of the political news coming out of there will impact the rest of the world. So the Q3 GDP numbers are slated to come out this week. They were supposed to come out. Now, if we recall, with China, we've been having the zero COVID policy, and so a lot of lockdowns have been happening there, and that impacts the overall production coming out of China. It's also created a lot of the supply chain problems that we're experiencing right now, because virtually any and everything is made in China. So with the Q3 numbers, the anticipation is that it should look better than the Q2 numbers, that June quarter of the year. However, the numbers have been delayed. This week, we're having a week-long congressional meeting in China. It only happens 2 times every 10 years. And so the Chinese government has decided that they're going to delay the release of that Q3 information until the end of the Congress meetings. However, the anticipation is that the numbers should look better, because a lot of workers have been returning to the factories. Production has slowly been picking up. So the Q3 numbers are anticipated to be around 3%-ish, coming from the Q2, which was much, much lower. So definitely something we want to watch, because if we see the supply chains easing, that will filter into the inflation numbers globally, which we know is a persistent problem. So more supply chains unwinding, goods flowing up, flowing back across the world, we could see inflation abating, which I am hoping desperately will filter into the US and the international markets, so we can start seeing the prices starting to rebound.
Yeah, as you mentioned, inflation, I saw Statin release the September inflation numbers for Jamaica just today, and I'm right here trying to bring it up so I can share screen with you. If I remember correctly, it's now at 9.1%, point to point. Point to point means 1 point in a year compared to the same point the following year. So for September, you're looking at September last year compared to September this year. And let me just find that now so I can share it with you. And I want you to see the
one
graphic.
Before that was 10.2.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're inching down just a little bit. So I've found it in my email. I want to share with you the actual infographic that they have given us. Let me just do that right here. So I'm going to share screen and I'm going to share a tab. Here we go. All right, so you're going to be seeing that in just a second. This is the consumer price index, meaning the inflation report. And we see here point-to-point inflation is now 9.3%. So I was very close. I said 9.1. And last month it was at 10 point something percent. So it's
10.2.
improving a little bit.
Yeah.
If we look at the major factors, we see housing costs are up 4%. Food prices are up, no surprise there. And education, which is an interesting one because September, of course, is back to school month. So we're looking at education costs going up 5% from last year, September. So books, school fees, all that stuff. And transportation, interestingly, according to Statin, those prices actually fell just a little bit. I don't know if we actually feel that in our pockets, but the official is saying it has fallen. So this is the latest inflation report that came out just today from Statin, Statistical Institute of Jamaica. Live update.
Yeah. Well, that's because if the inflation numbers continue to trend down, that is good filtering over into the stock markets. Where we want to see this is in the US. We want to see it there because things will look up for the US markets. That's what the Fed is desperately trying to achieve.
Right. And Larry is noting in the comments that when China sneezes, the US catches a cold because they manufacture everything. And when the US sneezes, we catch cold. So I guess we're catching COVID because it's coming from China. China sneeze and we all catch COVID. Now that's how it works. So there's some other things that we are looking out for in the markets in the week ahead. Keisha, what are some of those?
Well, earnings season, we're well into that in the US, kicking off. Tesla is reporting after market tomorrow, so that's going to be a big one. Netflix reported today. The numbers look fairly good. The stock is also trading up after hours, so we're watching out for earnings season. We're going into the thick of it, going into next week and toward the end of this month. Next week it's going to be tech earnings, so that's going to be a major week. So looking out for that. We also have some more economic news coming out toward the end of the month. And as always, we'll watch and see what inflation will be when it's released early in November. The hope is that it's trending lower.
Yeah, a lot going on. And what are we looking at in Jamaica, Leo?
Yeah, man. Well, our earnings season, start a little bit, of course, it's not, you really get the thick of it. Like in Jamaica, there's a big lag, so you're not gonna really see it until like mid-November. But dollar came out with earnings today. Tonight actually it looks. I just glanced it looked decent.
Everybody asking about dollar in the comments, guys.
Yeah,
It just came out. You have to have
it
time
just came
to
out. I
read to
can't really
analyze.
yes. I didn't have time to go through it in depth, but just glancing at it, it looked like a good number. So I think based on what I'm seeing, you might see some reaction in the market to that tomorrow. But you know how these things are. And sometimes what I realize in general, what's happening in the market now is that companies can come up with brilliant earnings, and the stock price will either be flat or probably even down, because it's like persons kind of like selling the news. So it's like they kind of buy into it ahead of the news. So it doesn't necessarily go depend. Even though the earnings are good, it doesn't guarantee that tomorrow you're gonna see big move. It couldn't happen because of a lot of different factors. But it's just that our earnings season is just kicking off now with that earnings report here for most of these companies reporting for the September. I think that's the first one I've seen. I think there was one I was looking at earlier from Mayberry, if I'm not mistaken. But our earnings season, you're not going to really get the thick of it until early November, mid-November. So that's what's going on here. Overall, though, you're looking at the main market that's not doing so hot for the year. You're looking at down 9% for the year. Let's see if some of these earnings are come up from some of the big companies. So that's like Grace Kennedy's, and so can really get persons excited about the market again. But yeah, so there's a mixed bag here. So the junior market is doing hot, but not so much on the mid. So it's more a mixed bag currently in the local market, in my view.
Yeah, guys, give us till next week now. Let's get a little time to read it and digest it.
And go through.
Because
we can
you
discuss
don't
that
want
one next week.
Yeah, I was just
you want good information. Yeah, you want good information, so I don't want to rush it and then miss
You have
something
to
and
digest it. Yeah.
take time and
Exactly.
go through it. Yeah.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me this week. Thanks, Keisha. Thanks, Leo.
Always a pleasure. Always.
All right. Thanks for having us.
All
And we
right.
talk to you again very soon. As Steve says, as Larry says, it's time to buy. Yeah, a lot going on. Aline says, good reports means drop in stock price. LOL. You got jokes, but Jamaica is a weird place sometimes. Stock prices don't necessarily follow what happens in the news. By the way, keep your ears and eyes in tuned to this space, to my Instagram, to my TikTok, and especially to my email. Make sure you're on that email. Why? Some things are coming. I'm starting to get some phone calls, and you know what that means? Some things are coming. So there are going to be at least 2 offers coming very, very soon, meaning within the next 1 to 2 weeks. And when I say offers, I mean we're looking at possibly IPOs. You know how it goes. They don't give us too many details ahead of time. I sometimes get a heads up that something is coming, but due to all the regulations, they can't tell me what, they can't tell me when exactly. But I'm just giving you the heads up that some things are coming within a few days, possibly. I know of one that is supposed to be announced next week. I don't know what exactly it is, but make sure that you are subscribed to the newsletter at KalilaRanos.com/newsletter so that when the announcement drops, you get that breaking money news directly to your inbox immediately. And you can have the leg up on the competition and all the other people who end up late and miss the opportunity. You will know it first. Don't rely on only social media because you might miss the things I post. I post a lot. I'm always posting on social media. I'm sure you don't see every single thing that I post, but if you're on the newsletter, I guarantee that you're going to see that headline in your inbox, that IPO alert or that breaking money news in your inbox. So make sure you go there right now to subscribe to that newsletter. 2 things, 2 offers are coming up. You would have also seen in What's Hot in Business an offer from A.S. Bryden, which is a very interesting offer that we tried to get more information on today. Unfortunately, we were unable to get more information before the show started this evening. But as you know, Seprod recently purchased A.S. Bryden. A.S. Bryden being a top manufacturing distribution company. Not sure if they do manufacturing, but distribution company for sure, based in Trinidad and Tobago. They're now a subsidiary of Seprod, and Seprod is planning to list A.S. Bryden on both the Jamaica and the Trinidad and Tobago stock exchanges before the end of the year. However, they have also announced that they're going to be selling shares to employees. Not going to be. The offer is already open. It opened at the beginning of this month and it closes at the end of the month. But in that offer was a very interesting clause. I don't know if you're paying keen attention during What's Hot in Business. In that offer, it also said that it would be open to eligible Jamaican investors. And I was like, well, who are eligible Jamaican investors? Is it just anybody? Is it that we are getting the opportunity to invest in A.S. Bryden pre-IPO? Because if that is the case, then this represents a tremendous opportunity to get in on that early. It was very vague based on what I read from the description as eligible Jamaican investors. Does it mean that it's only people who are already Seprod shareholders who get to participate in this? That's not the impression I got. It seems like you can invest in this once you are a resident in Jamaica. The broker for it is NCP Capital Markets. So if you already have an account there, you can call up your broker and ask them about this opportunity. I didn't check the Wealth Connect app to see if it is available through that app. But now that I mention it, I can go check that right now. You guys can check it as well. But look into that opportunity because that could be a pretty massive opportunity if indeed I am interpreting it correctly. And we'll still pursue that and try to get more information. But that offer opens October 30, so you still have some time. Make sure you're on the newsletter, guys. I'm stressing it. couple things are coming out in the next week to 2 weeks. You don't want to miss it. Let's take a very quick break. We'll be back with final comments.
This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, was brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart.
Hey, moneymakers, you're not an official part of the family until you have your merch. Visit KalilaReynolds.com/store to order your t-shirt and your mask today. Let's get this money. And we soon drop the new t-shirt. Make sure that you pay attention as well, because Black Friday is coming up and we have some deals coming up. There it goes. We have some deals coming out for Black Friday. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week. It was a wonderful show. Thank you so much to Larry Jones for joining us. Make sure that you subscribe to his channel. Head over to Stock Up with Larry Jones and check out his content over there. Of course, follow Keisha. Keisha has her channel as well. She is at Profit Jumpstarter on Instagram, and she has a YouTube channel. She has a great show that comes out every Sunday. She is live on her YouTube channel, and you can reach Leo there at JMMB. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone who tuned in to the show this week. It was my pleasure hosting you once again. Somebody asking in the comments how they can subscribe to the newsletter. Go to the website, guys. It is right there. The link is also in the description below. And if you're in the US or you have a US bank account, sign up for Moomoo, the Moomoo app, and you can get yourself a free stock. Get a free stock when you sign up for the Moomoo app. Also, make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this information with a friend. Don't keep it all to yourself. And reminding you that new email subscribers get a copy of my free broker guide. Turn on the post notifications so that you don't miss anything, because we want to help people learn more about money so we can all get this money together. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Kalila Ray, and also follow KRM_business news on Instagram. If you want to connect with the analysts this week, check the description box below for their contact information, and you can visit our website, KalilaReynolds.com, for financial information you can use however you like it, watch, listen, or read. Tell a friend about taking stock, because investing is the new sexy. So let's make it cool to talk about money. I'm Kalila Reynolds. See you next time.
Let's get this money.